type in where you are watching us from as we get started. There are people logging in from all over the world, and we are live streaming on YouTube and in many locations, as well as here in the Zoom room. So we'd love to see where you're logging in from.
Por favor, vaya a la parte inferior de la pantalla en Zoom o YouTube y haga clic en subtítulos para leer en español.
Pour les sous-titres en français, veuillez cliquer au bas de votre écran Zoom ou YouTube sur CC ou Closed Captions.
請到屏幕底部點閱隱藏字幕以閱讀中文。
Silakan klik di layar bawah pada Zoom atau YouTube dan klik caption untuk membaca dalam bahasa Indonesia.
請到屏幕底部點擊隱藏字幕以閱讀中文。
Παρακαλώ πηγαίνετε στο κάτω μέρος της οθόνης, στο Zoom ή στο YouTube και κάντε κλικ στους υπότιτλους για να τα διαβάσετε στα ελληνικά.
אנא עברו לתחתית המסך בזום וביוטיוב ולחצו על תרגום לכתוביות בעברית.
Proszę zejść na dół ekranu na Zoomie lub YouTubie i kliknąć napisy, żeby przeczytać.
Beautiful. So as you can see, we're right around the world, ladies and gentlemen. Do us a favor, type in where you... With that in mind, please welcome your MC to kick off today's event, Double Diamond, Keith Chazon, who's going to press unmute. Just noticed you muted. All the way from Louisiana in the USA.
I was muted. Welcome every night, everyone. Thursday night, my absolute favorite night of the week. And there's a reason for that. There's 7 days a week and six nights are, we're doing some good things with Numi and this amazing technology. But on Thursday nights, we actually get to sit and listen to Numi's founder, Stephen K. Scott, who's got a wealth of knowledge when it comes to glutathione and how it actually impacts the human body from a wellness standpoint. It really makes a huge difference when we're able to actually effectively get the nutrients into the cell. It's cellular utilization that makes a difference. And every Thursday night, Steve Scott comes on and he's able to share with us, not just folks here, but through YouTube and all the other venues that we're live streaming to, exactly how the technology works and why it works, which is really most important. So no further ado, my friend, welcome Steve Scott.
Thanks, Bud. And it's so good to see everybody, young and old. Sherman, you and I are probably the two oldest people on this call. And it's wonderful to be in good health at 76. And this product makes it so that I get through every day in a wonderful way. I don't have to drag. I just feel so blessed. And the bad thing about being 76 is some of your friends beat you to heaven. And today, one of my dearest friends in life, since 1967, passed away. His daughter has won many Grammy Awards. She was for years the #1 Christian vocal artist in the world and sold over 100 million records, 7 Grammys. But I knew her when she was a little girl. She would come and listen to us rehearse. And today her dad, who her name is Sandy Patty, and her dad, Ron Patty, who like I say, through life, he has always been there for me, and I've always tried to be there for him. And today he went home to glory. I don't mean that figuratively. I mean, I believe that it says in the Bible that for the believer to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. And I believe he's with the Lord and his sweet wife who passed away about a year ago. Ron was 92. And he was in good shape. He just had a bad fall in a shower and hit his head and never came out of it. And But he was ready to go. He's been missing his wife like crazy, and he doesn't miss her anymore. So today was a hard day for me. In spite of my confidence of where he is and what God has in store for him. In fact, you know, there's a verse in the Bible that says, eye has not seen, nor has ear heard the amazing things that God has in store for those that love him. And Ron Patty loved the Lord with all of his heart. We had talks regularly. And our focus was always on God. We always talked about what's new. What have you learned about the Lord lately? And, you know, what I love about Numi, it can change a person's life. It can change a child's life. It can change an adult life. When people are not healthy or they're feeling down, run down physically, when they have ailments, it can be very discouraging and frustrating to them, to their family who wants to see them well and better. And we have something that makes a huge difference. And there's a man named Bobby Kennedy who today it was announced that he is going to be nominated for Health and Human Services, which is a cabinet position in the new White House. So he is going to be, and guess what he believes in? He thinks there's more to life than pharmaceutical products. He thinks there's more to life than preservatives that are harmful in food or chemicals that are harmful. He's a wonderful man. He has tremendous integrity, and he's there to clean up a few of the agencies that aren't so open-minded. And so that's a thrilling thing. The appointment was just a couple hours ago. And so I'm excited about that. Meanwhile, let me just share with, as you can see, I'm in my study tonight. My daughter, who's a newlywed, and my wife are in the other room. I completely forgot this was Thursday night. Michael called me just a few minutes before 6 and reminded me it was Thursday night. Thank you so much, Michael. You're so faithful and such a wonderful friend and leader in Numi. Keith, thank you for hosting tonight. So been on the phone today, was on the phone with somebody who believes in glutathione. And this person's a health leader in the country. And they said, somebody told me Numi has a terrible product that doesn't work and this and that, and that there are lawsuits. And we don't have a lawsuit. We haven't had any health reactions to our product. In fact, we've had millions of servings, millions. And to my knowledge, we've only had 4 or 5 people that have asked about or that have experienced a side effect. And the side effect was a little sores in their mouth. And we deduced that it was from the preservative. We have to have preservatives because without preservatives, it'd be spoiled before you get it, especially in real warm climates like Indonesia, the Philippines, Africa. So, but our preservative is the same preservative that's used in almost all soft drinks. It's the most common preservative in food. And we use just a little. We don't need to use a lot, but we use a little. And so we've had that. So I explained that to her. And then I I was asked to show her a couple of pictures that are only in my phone. The rest of the world doesn't have access to. And now she's a believer. And why is this important to us? Because she has access to the White House, to the new administration, to the veterans of America. And so we're excited that this lady, we're going to have her on the phone and somebody else next week on a Zoom call. And I'm real excited. I want this product to change lives everywhere. And I know what it can do because I see it. I get pictures and stories that you don't get. Today, Dr. Crozier, was it Dr. Crozier? Yes, Dr. Crozier told me a story that happened with our neural product, and I don't have it. I'm in my study, my messy study that I never study in anymore, and it's kind of a catch-all room. But he told me something that happened with one of his patients, and I mean, woohoo! Couldn't believe it. Another life changed, but I can't tell you anything about it. Just say we're changing lives. We're making a difference. What does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul? Another verse in the Bible says, he says, what is your life? It is a vapor which appears a little while, just a mist, and it's gone. It's so fast. So let's make it count. And when you can change a life, a family member, a husband, a wife, a grandma, a grandpa, a teenager, when you have a product that can make that kind of a change, you're changing generations. You know, yesterday or today, I was on the phone with one of our associates who has, she has distributors on every continent. And the lady that brought her into knew me. When she recruited her, she thought I'm recruiting one person. No, that one person now has thousands of associates, NUMMI family members all over the world. Well, the person that brought her in, we can say the same thing. That's what I love about this business, is we can make just one little impact that can have a ripple effect that changes lives all over the world. So enough preaching. Now we'll go ahead and talk about NUMMI, our science, our products. We have a science called Hydrostat. What is that? Well, it is a molecular encapsulation. It allows us to put things through our processor where we encapsulate the molecules in envelopes made out of water molecules. And those envelopes provide an amazing delivery system that gets right. The particle size is so small, it enables us to get our product into the cells. And forget the word bioavailability, you know. Here, this is bioavailability. My phone right now is available to anybody that wants to call it, right? But if I don't give you my phone number, yeah, it's available, but it really isn't available. And you can get into the blood. That's not really hard. But getting out of the bloodstream and into the cells and into the cytoplasm and into the cells in a way that it can be effectively utilized, that's a little more difficult. Well, that's what our Hydrostat technology does. And we do it with glutathione. We do it with other amino acids and peptides in our topical spray. We do it with hyaluronic acid and collagen and some other peptides. It is unbelievable. Coming up soon, hopefully the first week in December, there's going to be a study that is 9,014 pages that'll be online, available to veterinarians, not to normal people. And but it shows what our product does with horses. And it is mind-boggling. And the reason it's important to us isn't that we're going to go into the horse market, because we're not. The reason it's important to you and me is because it validates the biochemistry in mammals. And everybody you know out there is a mammal. And it is amazing what they looked at. They looked at everything you could imagine: cardiovascular, neurological, the activity of the glutathione in the skeletal muscles. Woo! I mean, we're talking Unbelievable. So when this gets published and somebody says, do you have any studies? Because we're a supplement, we don't commission studies. This had nothing to do with us. It's just that the vets that did the study had access to our products and they used them in their study. It was a 6-month study. And we'll say, yeah, 9,000 pages worth. You want to read 1 through 9,014? Would you like the 46-page abstract? And I think they may have to pay a fee for that abstract. I don't know. Most publications you have to. But the fact is, it was a scientific study to a level that I don't think there's another supplement in the world that has been tested to that level and gotten the results that it got. Okay, so that's our hydrostat technology. Let's talk about glutathione for a minute. For those of you that don't know, glutathione is the most important molecule in life. It's just as important as oxygen. Let me close that off. As oxygen, there would be no life on Earth without it. No plants, trees, vegetables, fruits, no fish, no birds, no insects, no people. Earth would have that beautiful blue atmosphere, but there'd be no life. You have to have glutathione to have life. We know that there might have been water on Mars, but was there glutathione? You know, we want to talk about life in other planets. And so anyway, so what is glutathione? I never heard of it till 2006. I didn't believe in supplements. I thought all supplements did were change light yellow urine into bright yellow urine. And so I was never interested. And I had a very good business. I was making millions of dollars a year. And in television, we would find products the world had never heard of that were breakthrough products. And we would buy the rights to those products. We would reformulate, re-engineer them for mass use. Then we'd marry the project to a celebrity. Then I'd go out and produce a television commercial or a show featuring that celebrity and that product. And with that, I'm sorry, I got an itchy nose. I was crying today, and that creates all sorts of collateral damage, like tears create a runny nose for me. And my daughter and I just watched Ron and his wife performing, and a wonderful music number, and that got me crying, and I'm crying. And then Michael calls and says, "Hey, Steve." And I look at, oh my gosh. So I'm not going to ramble. I'm just, that's the background behind why my nose is a little itchy. So glutathione is the most important molecule in life, right there with oxygen. It performs 400 functions. Think about that. Every organ, every tissue, every cell, every system in your body needs glutathione. Problem is, you're born with a lot and the ability for each cell to produce a lot, but as you age, production in the cells declines by 8 to 15% per decade. Now I'm 76. At 76, I have 60% less glutathione in my body than I had at the age of 20, but the need never declines. Every cell in our body is attacked 10 to 20,000 times a day by free radicals. Now, Keith, if you could pull up that shot of the Chicago Bulls Stadium, let me show you what 20,000 looks like. He'll find it. It takes a minute, or Michael, somebody's going to share it. And you have 37.5 trillion cells, and every one of them, your eyes, your ears, your heart, your brain, your kidneys, your pancreas, your muscle cells, your joints, your bones, everything each one of those cells is attacked by 10 to 20,000 free radicals a day. This is 20,000 people in an arena. So imagine that there's only one person on the floor, and it's you. And the announcer says, "Ladies and gentlemen, here's your chance to win $1 million. Every one of you that can strike a blow to that person on center court, you will get a check for $1 million." Well, 20,000 people would jump out of those stands, and poor you, if you're the one down there, you would get 20,000 blows, and they would each collect their $1 million. Well, that's what every cell goes through every day. Now, if we say every 5 days, look what you go through. Next slide. Here we go. Maybe we'll see that. Oh, there it is. So that's 100,000 people. So now pretend that you're on that big M center field, and they tell that 100,000 people, everybody that strikes a blow, that's what every cell in your body goes through every 5 days. One cell against all those free radicals. Okay, if you could come back to me. So what's a free radical? Well, a free radical is a scavenger. And it wants to, I'm sorry for the blurry picture, I don't have good lighting in here. It wants to steal an electron from the cell. And when it steals that electron, it creates a reaction called oxidative stress. Too much oxygen for the cell to process. You say, how can there be too much oxygen? Well, why do you think iron rusts? Too much oxygen, oxidation. And so that oxidative stress does two terrible things, does a lot of terrible things, but two huge things to the cell. Number one is that it causes inflammation in the cell. Michael, do we have that picture of the cell? What a cell looks like?
1 second.
Okay, as he's finding that, inflammation creates the path and the gateway to all major diseases, including cancer, heart disease, neurological disorders, diabetes, and on and on. Okay, so this is what the inside of one cell looks like. Now, if we magnified it even more, we get to see the DNA, the mitochondrial actions, all these electrical reactions, all these things, most of these things are in motion. They're all working together to produce results. Every cell in your body is more complex with more interdependent systems than the most complex machine ever built by mankind, which was the Saturn V rocket with its lunar lander and lunar orbiter. And it took engineers, 35,000 engineers, 8 years to design and build the Saturn V system. And every cell in your body is more complex than that. Okay, back to me. Thank you. And so a free radical steals an electron, creates oxidative stress. The oxidative stress creates inflammation inside the cell, which impedes or obstructs many of those systems that are working in the cell. So all of a sudden, you're going like this in the cell, and guess what? Ooh, boom, there was some inflammation. Ooh, what's happening here? Can't figure it out. And because inflammation isn't natural to the cell, well, now it's right there in the cell. The other thing it does, and nobody likes this, is it accelerates the aging of the cell. Well, when you accelerate the aging of the cells, you also accelerate the aging of tissues, organs, and you. So the biggest organ in your body is your skin. It's living tissue. It's covered cleverly by 23 layers of dead skin called the epidermis. But the dermal tissue is alive and well, and it just like everything else is attacked by all these free radicals, which accelerate aging and bring inflammation and so on. So how do we deal with that? How does your body deal with it? It looks to the antioxidants that are available. Antioxidants donate one of their electrons to the free radical. And when that donation takes place, it sequesters, captures the free radical and neutralizes it. Hooray. Problem is we don't get enough antioxidants. Now, there's a whole spectrum of free radicals. They have different sources, different chemical compositions, different structures. All antioxidants, vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin A, vitamin The vitamin Bs have a little antioxidant value. CoQ10, superoxide dismutase, catalase, they're all monofocused. That means each one can take out one type, like vitamin E will take out that one, but it leaves all of these bad boys. Vitamin C will take out that one, and it leaves all of these guys, CoQ10, superoxide dismutase, vitamin D, vitamin A. So they take out one type. Some are sourced from hydrogen, some oxygen, some nitrogen in your body. And glutathione is called the master antioxidant because it can sequester and neutralize all free radicals, regardless of their source, structure, or chemical composition. What does that mean? When you sequester and neutralize the free radical, it can't create the oxidative stress that creates the inflammation that accelerates the aging. Now, we're going to prove that to you in a minute when we show you some before and afters, and you see how it impacts the skin. That's just one organ. But the biochemical action that takes place with the skin takes place with every cell, your heart, your brain, your kidneys, everything. Okay, so the fact that glutathione is so miraculous, and the fact that it declines as we age, what do? We can go out and buy glutathione capsules anywhere. Problem is, as soon as they hit the stomach, the glutathione breaks because it's a very fragile molecule. We can buy cysteine capsules anywhere. So what do? They surround those molecules with fats called lipids or liposomes. And what happens is that'll preserve some of them through the stomach, but it makes their size bigger. So we take a molecule and now we wrap it in a fat, and guess what? It's bigger than it was without the fat. Too big to get into most cells. Most cells have little pores. Those little pores are 10 billionths of a meter. Now, to show you how small that is, one strand of your hair, one strand, is 80,000 nanometers thick. And to get into a cell, you have to be under, not 10,000, 10. You have to be smaller than 10 nanometers. Liposomes typically are 50 nanometers or greater. Big problem. Some cells have bigger pores. Okay, but most cells don't. The average size of the 37 trillion cells is 10 nanometers. So what have we done? Well, instead of encapsulating those molecules with fats, we found a way, we call it hydrostat, to encapsulate them with water envelopes. We literally build water envelopes or matrices around the molecule, and it doesn't increase their size. So getting into those cells is a piece of cake. And that's what we did. Now, that doesn't sound like much, but it cost millions of dollars and many years for us to get to where we are today. And that's what hydrostat did. Well, my interest was not in coming up with a delivery mechanism for all kinds of stuff. It was one thing. I knew the value of glutathione, and I knew the problem. We can't get it through the gut. So, and IV glutathione is so inefficient. And the half-life of glutathione, once it's in the cell, averages 90 minutes. So why spend $200 or $300 for an IV if it's only going to have about a 6-hour bang for the buck? That's not a wise use of money. And so we need a better way. Well, that's what hydrostat is. Our product, it can enter your body through the outside, right through your skin, to penetrate the epidermis and get into the dermal tissue. You have to be under 10 nanometers. Good news, we get there. And so more important than how you look, though, is health, general health. And I knew, because I was mentored by one of the world's experts, I knew if we could ever deliver glutathione and its cofactors into the cytoplasm simultaneously, then we would see things nobody's ever imagined. And so that's what we started working on. In 2018, we had pretty much developed the process. And I thought, well, the first place we're going to test this is we had some clinics testing it, and they were seeing amazing things. But the place I really wanted to see was in athletic performance. So I called one of my, first I had a friend here in Utah who was going to be working out that night, and his workout's a killer. It's an hour on a treadmill, running on a treadmill at a 25-degree angle for an hour, and then jumping off of that after an hour and jumping onto a rowing machine and real aggressive rowing for another hour. He was 28 years old. He'd been doing that routine for 10 years. So I gave him the product, and he called me that night and he said, Steve, this is the most amazing product in history for athletes. Unbelievable. And he told me his results, and they were unbelievable. Well, I sent him to a friend of mine named Bill Gillespie. Bill was the strength and conditioning coach for an American football team, the Seattle Seahawks, who had they've won Super Bowls. And Bill is an amateur weightlifter. And there he is. Now, right there on the bar in the middle, you have about 1,000 pounds. A bar on the right-hand side, you have 1,129 pounds. Now, let's show his chart. This is where it gets really exciting and mind-boggling. Okay, you can see the age 49. You see that 804 down there. That was a world record. At the age of 49 in 2008, he bench pressed 804 pounds, I think it's about 400 kilos, right around there. And maybe somewhere in there. Michael could tell us. I can't tell because we're not on the metric system here. But that's what he lifted. Well, world record, drug tested and everything. 10 years later, he's down to 725. And I called him up 2018 and I said, how you doing? He said, Steve, not good. He said, everything's good on the job, but my weightlifting's in the toilet. I said, what's wrong? He said, I used to be able to lift heavy 4 times a week. Now my recovery's so slow and my lean muscle is less. So I can only lift heavy. Please, there we go. Wait for the cue. I can only lift heavy once a week instead of 4 times a week. And my bench press is down to 725. And I said, Bill, that's great for a 59-year-old. He said, it's a world record for a 59-year-old, but I don't get to compete with the elite guys anymore. And he said, plus a lifetime of weightlifting means inflammation. He says, I wake up hurting. I hurt all day. I work 12 to 16 hours a day hurting. I go to bed hurting, so I don't sleep well. And then I start my next day. I said, Bill, I think everything's about to change. So I sent him our product, and look what happened. Okay. At the age of 60, first of all, he instantly started lifting more weight. Lean muscle increased. Recovery time was really changed for the better. He started recovering a lot faster, so he could do lift heavy 4 times a week again. And look what happened. At 60 years old, he lifts 1,050 pounds, a new world record. At 62, he lifts 1,129.8 pounds. That's 512 kilos and a new world record. That's 40% more weight than he lifted in his prime at his all-time best that set the first world record, 804 pounds. 40% more. It's 13 years later. Okay, back to me. Oops, not quite yet. So because of the loss of lean muscle, because of the slowing down of recovery time, our physical ability, strength, speed, everything goes down. It's not supposed to go up like that, but that's what happened. How can that happen? Lower oxidative stress. That's the key. Lower the oxidative stress. To do that, you've got to mitigate the free radicals, and that's what glutathione does. And so one of our athletes was a a marathoner and a cyclist, and she had a 100-mile bike race coming up. This is June of 2018. So I sent her some. She started using it on a Wednesday, instantly broke her personal record for a 30-minute sprint on her bike. The next day, she swished again. You swish it like a mouthwash. And she broke another personal record for a 35-mile run. And that was Thursday. Friday, she rested. Saturday was the big race, 100 miles. First 35 miles, she broke her record again. Mile 37, guy in front of her hits the brake. She hits him. She goes end over end, hits the ground so hard that it breaks her helmet, knocks her out, and her face hit the pavement at 22 miles an hour. She woke up in the hospital. Her face was shredded. And the plastic surgeon said it's going to take 5 weeks to clear. And then you wait 60 days and come in and we will create a protocol for dealing with your scars. That was on Sunday that the plastic surgeon talked to her. Well, she goes home Tuesday night and she thinks, hey, this stuff is special. Let's see if it'll help. So she put some on the wounded areas, on the abrasions, on the road rash, on the scabs with a cotton ball. That was on Tuesday night. She did it 3 times, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. By Sunday, her face was completely clear. I've got pictures. Not a mark, not a mark, not a scar. The plastic surgeon had never seen anything like it. I've owned 5 cosmetic and makeup companies in my lifetime, and I sold hundreds of millions of dollars in skincare. And do you know, I saw those pictures and I thought, we may have the world's best skincare. So I put some in spray bottles and sent them to a few friends and told them, spray your face 5 times a day. It only takes 2 or 3 seconds. And do that for 8 weeks. And let's see what it looks like. Before picture, before you start. First picture that came back to me was this one, Sherry Warner. And if you can zoom in, that would be helpful. Let's zoom in a little. If you know how to do that. If you don't know how to do it.
Can't do it anymore, Steve. You got it on PowerPoint now. Not possible.
Okay. So you can look and tell. I sent that to my former formulator, who was the president of the American Society of Cosmetic Chemists and had become the head formulator for the company that created Botox. And I sent it to John and said, look at that. That's 7 weeks. He said, Steve, I hate to tell you, she's had a facelift. I said, John, she hasn't. She owns a farm, works on a farm, lives on a farm, has no scalpels ever touch her face. He said, that's impossible. There's no topical product in the world that can make those changes. Look how much brighter her skin is. Look at how it's opened up her eyes, how much tighter, smoother. Where did the wrinkles go? A topical can't do that. He said, Botox can't even do that. John, you're wrong. Ours product does it. And so now we're going to show you some more pictures that show you what happens when you lower oxidative stress in the skin. Well, I was only 71 here, and I sprayed my right hand for 12 weeks, didn't spray my left hand. Look at the difference. Just amazed me and everybody that came in and saw that. This is an 84-year-old who I said, how many times a day do you spray your face? She said, I lost count because I just keep spray bottles all over the house. Anytime I pass one, I spray it. It takes 3 seconds. Well, look at that. 4 weeks. Look at her chin. Look at her neck. Look at her lips. I mean, amazing, amazing. Next. Okay, this is another 80-year-old. And she had old lady legs and thought that's all I'm ever going to have. But she started spraying and swishing. And she'd swish probably 2 or 3 times a day, and she would spray 4 or 5 times a day. And look at the difference. This was after 8 days. This lady's an esthetician. She owns a skincare salon in Florida. And she said, I can't wait 8 weeks. Look what it did in 8 days. Where did my pores go? Look how smooth my face is. Look how it's opened up my eyes. Okay, now I want you to write down, if you have a pencil, I want you to write down the following words. Brighter, smoother, tighter, younger. Those are the changes we make in the skin, younger looking. And so those are critical adjectives for you to remember. Okay, next. Okay, this lady we met last year, she was 67 when she came in. This was after 1 month. It looks like she had a facelift. But look, after 6 months, this is when she came in. Aaron and I, our president, our CEO, thought she was only maybe 45. Let's go to the next slide. Look at that. 6 months. She looks like she's 45, not 60. Let's go to the next one. Side by side. Yes, we are different. We are better. And unbelievable. Just look at the changes. Next, we'll look at a few. Okay, this guy's 67, brighter, tighter, younger looking, smoother, all of the above, with men as well as women. Next. That was 6 weeks, by the way. Next. I'm just running by these because I want to get through these so you can get back to your family. 10 days. Now, this girl is young. She's probably about 18. But look at two things. Number one, where did the pores go? They're gone. Smooth. Now, they're not really gone. They're just diminished, if you want to be technical. But look how even her skin tone is. That's what when I owned makeup companies, we called it the no makeup because you couldn't tell it was on. It had no texture. And this is what we strive for. And it's so hard to get. And she got it without makeup, just by spraying her face with our product. Next. 83-year-old. That was 3 weeks. Not bad. Next. Okay, this lady is, I think, early 60s. She was a smoker, and that was 8 weeks. We took away all of her skincare damage. Next. This lady was 6 days. That, even though the lighting's goofed up, it's a remarkable difference for 6 days. Next. This lady's in Nigeria. Her daughter's a doctor. She's over 80 years old. Her doctor took her the product. She sprayed it for 4 weeks. Look at how the upper half of her face is no longer darker. What makes that blackness or that dark is melanin production in the skin. And what's happened is we've gone back to a normal melanin production. Glutathione manages melanin production. So crazy. Next. My battery's getting low. This is in Australia, sun damage, 6 weeks. Look at that. Next. Now, I love this guy. He's 94. Now, he said, I love the new look. Whoever thought I would look like this? He said, but more than the look, I love how I feel. I feel like the guy on the right, not the guy on the left. It's pretty crazy. Next. She's 87 in Hungary. I was in Hungary a few months ago. And look at that. 7 weeks spraying 5 times a day. Honestly, it looked like it took 20 years off of her face, around her eyes, just everywhere. It's truly amazing. Okay, back to me. Well, there's a hand of an 80-year-old man in Canada. Look at that. 40 days. Okay, now why do we show that? Not only because we have the world's best skincare product, and that's one of the products we have. It's called Numi Skin, but because the same biochemical action that is making the skin look so much healthier, so much younger, so much better, that same chemical process is taking place in my heart, my brain, my liver, my kidneys, my muscles, my joints, everywhere. That's what we have. That's the breakthrough. We've only got one problem, and that is Steve Scott doesn't have a microphone in 76 countries around the world. I have you, and you have to be the spokespersons. We have great videos you can share, but the only way we're going to get to the world is through our Numi family members all over the world, and that's why we do this. We do this every Thursday night, and just to make people aware of our science, I didn't mention that glutathione's the detoxifier of the cell. Hooray, because it's the chemicals in the cell that break the mitochondrial DNA that put the cells at risk for mutation and multiplication. And we are the protector of the immune system. Glutathione is the protector of the immune cells. Low glutathione levels, your T cells in response to bacterial or viral invasion reproduce slow while the bacteria or virus is reproducing rapidly. Raise glutathione levels and they reproduce T cells, the assassins reproduce more rapidly to take out the bad guys, to keep you healthy, to shorten the amount of time you're sick. That's what the T cells do. And we are the protector of the T cells, glutathione is. So that's what we have. I hope you'll consider joining us. We need you. And we manufacture product in-house, which allows us to have a very generous compensation plan, but it also allows us to keep our prices really low. With that, I'm going to say goodnight. I'm going to turn it over to Michael.
Beautiful, because I know Keith wasn't on his screen then, so thank you.
Okay.
So an awesome job again, Steve. I've given you an insight to hydrostat and glutathione. Ladies and gentlemen, we do run events every single week. So next week, just a reminder, we will have the official presentation happening on Tuesday, USA 6 p.m, Members Night, Wednesday 6 p.m, and then Thursday 6 p.m, Mountain Town. We'll be looping right back down to Steve all over again. So wherever you're watching us,